back with us on the SportsMax Zone. Host United States continue to sit atop the leaderboard after 6 days of competition at the World Athletics Championships in Eugene, Oregon, with 19 medals, 6 gold, 4 silver, and, well, that's 6 gold, 5 silver, and 8 bronze. That would be 6 and 5, yeah, so 19. Ethiopia are next with 8 medals in total, 3 gold in that haul. China have muscled their way into 3rd place. The Jamaicans, the highest place of the Caribbean nations, in 5th place with their 4 medals. Now, the latest highlight of the championship from a Caribbean perspective would be the qualification of 6 of our athletes to contest the women's 400 meters final. Miller-Uibo, Paulinho, Candice McLeod, Shade Williams, Cofield from Dominican Republic as well, and then the other Jamaican, Stephanie Ann McPherson, all in. So 6 of 8 are from the Caribbean, and we're certainly hoping that they will hog all the podium places. The Caribbean now will have 3 representatives in the men's final, the men's one-lap final. The qualifiers, Michael Norman, Matthew Hudson-Smith, champion Allison, Kirani James, the Grenadian, is there. The South African Wade Van Niekerk, good to see him back at this level. Jonathan Jones, the Bayesian, is there as well, along with the Jamaican Christopher Taylor, who is coming out of lane 8. Jamaica's Rochelle Clayton will be the Caribbean's lone representative in the women's 400 meters hurdles final. The awesome Sidney McLaughlin leading all qualifiers. Femke Bol, the outstanding Dutch athlete, Dalilah Mohammed, Shamir Little, Clayton will run from lane 5. Woodruff from Panama in 6. Britton Wilson from the USA, and the Ukrainian Anna Rizhikova. So that's what we have. That's where we are with the participation. Leighton Levy, our resident analyst, is, well, we sent out a message for him, searching for him. But while the radar homes in on Leighton's position, let's start with the women's 400 meters final first, Whitaker, because we have 6 of 8 there. Paulinho, awesome. You wonder if now is going to be her chance, but there's another woman, a queen from another part of the Caribbean, CARICOM to be precise, the English-speaking Caribbean, that is standing in her way like Barry Hammond.
Well, they were 1-2 in Tokyo last year, both of them. And Paulina is a very solid athlete.
Yes.
She has looked really, really strong all season. And, of course, Shawnee Miller-Uibo had some injury issues early in the season, so her season was a bit interrupted. But so far at the Eugene, Oregon World Championship, she's looked pretty solid. And I think it's going to be a humdinger of a final. Shawnee Miller-Uibo knows how to get the job done on the big occasions. Paulina, though, as I said, just such a stout runner, very robust in her running style.
Yes.
And it's going to take a lot to beat her, but I see them 1-2.
Yeah, what I think is it's very amazing that, we have so much representation from the Caribbean in this 400-meter women event. And it's not only Jamaicans dominating, but there's a mix of other Caribbean countries. So that's a plus for me, for one. And, of course, where Shawnee Miller-Uibo is concerned, I think she's tipped to be the favorite. But what's for sure is both Shawnee Miller-Uibo and Paulino, I'm expecting to walk away with medals. The order of the medals, I'm not sure.
Well, Paulina did advertise her well-being with her run in the mixed relays. Really, really strong legs she ran for the Dominican Republic. And she looks to be the woman in form, but I'll never bet against Shawnee Miller-Uibo in this event. Before we leave the women's 400, though, I must mention that last year at the Olympics, in the preliminaries, some of our analysts, and I'm sure it was a comment that people were befuddled that they were talking so positively about the young Barbadian, Shade Williams, and about how promising and talented she was. And she has now made those analysts' comment look sage, look wise, because she has run very well in Eugene, Oregon so far, and she has a place in that final. And it's not too much to expect, I don't think, that the young Barbadian could produce another personal best effort. If she does that, wherever she finishes, nobody can complain, but I think she's poised to keep on giving off her best, and I wouldn't be surprised if she PBs in this final.
She reminds me of Sharika. You just come out with a bang, out of nowhere, nobody expects it, and then you're dominating. So Shade is set to create an upset, George, but again, the top two that we've mentioned before, when they are in the race, it's very difficult to think that anybody else could assume that gold medal.
Yeah, Sade has been a solid athlete for several years now, and I like her running style. She mixes speed with stamina because she's also the national record holder in Barbados over 200 meters as well, I think 22:61. And she's been there and thereabouts with some of her Diamond League performances. Never before in a global senior final as she has achieved now. So she has already achieved first for her in her career. Very, very difficult to medal for her tonight. But I expect her to run really well. And I'd like to see her run a personal best tonight, wherever it takes her.
Yeah, that's my hope for her.
Yes.
You know, I think that Stephanie Ann McPherson was in the shape of her life at the Olympics. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out in terms of what her goal for herself was and what her coach's goal for her was. I just think that she's a little bit off color this season relative to last season, and I don't know. Last year, I would have fancied her strongly to win a medal.
Yes.
I don't have that same fancy this year, but she's a warrior and she's a fabulous athlete, and anything is possible.
Yeah, I would agree with that because she did say in the semi-finals that she didn't feel well.
Yes.
Because she qualified as one of the fastest losers.
Yes.
And you know, before the race, when the cameras went into the call room, she looked a little... I wondered when I looked at her because she had her head down, and when I heard her post-race say she wasn't feeling well, she had some stomach issues and so on, I said, oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So she didn't run at her best. But if she runs at her best, she's a medal contender.
Yeah, but there's no doubting that she was in tremendous form at the Olympics in Tokyo. All right, the men's 400 meters now, the Spice Boy, Kirani James, lining up in that event. Jamaica has Chris Taylor in it. Wade Van Niekerk is back. The full lineup, another Bayesian, Jonathan Jones. He was also spoken of highly last season at the Olympics by analysts who know this thing inside out. The American Michael Norman drawn in the center, and Enduri from Botswana on the outside. Whitaker, if we are to focus on a group of 4 of these 8 gentlemen for the 3 medals, which 4 should we look at?
Kirani, Norman. I don't think Van Niekerk is back to his best yet, but it's a shake-up after that. But Kirani and Norman, to me, should decide the gold.
I think if there's a spoiler for the bronze, I'm agreeing with you on the top 2, and I expect Kirani. Norman is the favorite, as he would be, but Kirani has the wheels to beat him.
Yeah.
If there's an upset for the bronze medal, you're going to be surprised when I do this, but the Brit, Matthew Hudson-Smith, I think I've really loved the championships he has put together so far. Really got to display in the semi-final to get here. And I think his confidence is such that he could sneak in to the bronze medal slot. And for us to say that with Wade Van Niekerk in the lineup must tell you that the South African awesome world record run, which convinced us that he was set to rival the legends of the short sprints and the long sprints in terms of acclaim and accomplishment. Not quite back to himself yet, Mariah. So notwithstanding his CV, we think this final is a bit too much for Wade Van Niekerk at this moment in time, given the quality of the rivals in the race.
No, I agree, but it's just that, previously what we would have seen from him, it just gives you that inkling that, you can't really rule him out. You just never really know when he can create an upset. And then I looked at the heats and, of course, the semis and whatnot, and he stood out for me. But maybe that's just my personal bias.
Chris Taylor.
Tough for Chris Taylor. A season's best to get into the final, but he is in a tough field here. It's going to be tough for him. I think Jonathan Jones may be able to finish in front of him, maybe. Jones, like Sade Williams, is into his first major
final.
Global final at the senior level, although he did make the under-20 world final back in 2018. And he's such a quality runner. He has 800-meter background from the Carifta Games, winning gold medals at Carifta Games, over 800 meters. He's strong and he's confident, and I like him to run a big race tonight.
Just before we move on, the reason I said what I did about Sade Williams, and I'm very happy you added what you did about Jonathan Jones. I remember during the Olympics coverage, when we had Tokyo Prime, the morning and the evening edition, someone sent me a message, sure that lady is watching now, to ask why were we wasting time talking about the likes of Williams and when in her heat, because there were other established athletes that we should have spent the time on. And I was saying, no, but these are youngsters who are putting together careers, who are set to take the next step, and the analysts that we have believe that they have the quality to take that next step.
Right.
So I'm very happy that both, that's what I'm saying again, that both Sadie Williams and Jonathan Jones, especially Williams, have proven the analysts right, who believed that they had what it took to punch it out with the best in the world. They are one of the best in the world right now on this day in sports, and we wish them all the best of luck in running in the final. All right, we go to the break. When we return, we continue to talk about the World Athletics Championships.
We're still talking track and field on the SportsMax zone. We continue with the latest from the Athletics World Championship being staged in Eugene, Oregon. Now host USA continued to sit atop the leaderboard, and the action is continuing this evening, and a lot of focus on a couple of the finals tonight. Medals to be decided in the women's 200 meters and the men's 200 meters. Joining us to give his prediction and analysis is our resident track and field expert, Leighton Levy. Leighton, welcome to the SportsMax zone and to our Oregon discussion.
Hey Lance, what's up guys?
Yeah, about that women's 200 meter final tonight, most people think, which I agree with, that Shericka Jackson looks unbeatable. But you don't want to say that, do you, when Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce is in the race?
I can.
Oh, you can?
I will.
Okay.
Look, this is how I see the race playing out.
Yes.
Shelly's going to come off the curve ahead of Shericka. And
are you sure about that? Because that
Yes.
didn't happen, that the Nationals did it.
No, because Shelly was playing possum. Apparently, you know, she was running on a specific instruction not to reveal what she's been capable of. I know she's doing a lot of hill sprints this year, including just before the trial. So maybe Renaldo Walcott had her run within herself at the national championships just enough to qualify. But what we saw in that semifinal at 21.83 shutting down suggests that she has a lot left in her legs. The thing is, though, you know, Shelly's a 10.6 sprinter, consistent, you know. Shericka getting there and probably should have run that 10.6 already. So she's not that far behind Shelly and Fraser-Pryce. I suspect that she might be a yard or two behind Shelly coming off the curve. The difference is, though, Shelly's speed endurance, while it has improved, is nowhere close to what Shericka Jackson is capable of. That 400 background, that 400 strength is going to see her walk down Shelly, and she'll get by Shelly at about 160 and go home in about 21.40 something. Shelly, I think, could probably run between 21.6 and 21.7. And that leaves the third place up for grabs, because I think there are 4 women right now who are capable of getting that third spot. And that's where I think the race is going to be, between our own Olympic champion, Elaine Thompson-Herah, Abby Steiner, who looks a little tired, but I think she's saving with the extra day rest. I think she'll have enough to challenge for the title, for a medal, Dina Asher-Smith, and perhaps Tamara Clark as well, who I think, when you look at the lineup, it's a quality field, and that, you know, you can't rule out Seni, despite the fact that she's running relatively inexperienced. That raw speed that she has could make a difference there as well. So I think it's going to be an interesting race. I think there are going to be 2 races. The race for first and second, and then there will be the race from about 4 women for that final spot. And I think Kambunji will be in there. 2 national record of 22.05 suggests that she should be in the mix. She's confident and she's stronger than she was last year. So it's a very interesting race. I think it'll be intense.
Yeah. Shericka Jackson has lost just one 200-meter race so far this season. It was one of the early Diamond League events. Gabby Thomas, I think, had beaten her there. Since then, she has looked pretty solid. A general acceptance that the Jamaicans may be expecting too much to 1, 2, 3 here, as they did in the 100 meters. But you just alluded to the fact that that third place battle is a tremendous battle. Tamara Clark from the USA looked very impressive, I thought, in the semis. And who, if you were to have your arm twisted, who would you give that bronze medal to?
I've been twisting my own arm all day.
That's accepting, before you continue, Lane, that's accepting that you have Shericka Jackson and Fraser Price at 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I see it playing out.
Yes.
Based on what I saw from Shericka.
Yeah, so the bronze then, because that's what you're here for, Leighton. You've got to stick your neck out.
The bronze is going to be between, I believe, Abby Steiner, Dinasha Smith, perhaps Tamara Clark, and of course only Leighton Thompson. Leighton Thompson looks a little short of work, and she did admit that she's a little bit behind where she wanted to be for these championships, despite the fact that I was told with confidence that she was ready. But now that it's unfolded, it's clear that she isn't as ready as she would have liked to have been. 21.97 is a season's best and a good time, but she was run down by Clark and Dina Asher-Smith. Abby Steiner has run 21.77, and if she can come close to that and perhaps run 21.80, 21.81, I think they're all going to be in the mix. The reason why I am leaning towards Leighton Thompson here is because I think she knows what it's like to compete at this level and to win at this level. And even though she's behind this year, specifically, she's behind Shelly and Shericka, I think her experience will make a difference down the stretch when it comes to the final few meters, where her experience will allow her to relax a little bit better than most. But the others who would never won, Dina is a defending champion, yes. But I think Elaine's superior experience and the fact that she'll have the confidence of knowing that she's done it before in 2015 and of course at the Olympics last year, that will allow her to relax a little bit more because she doesn't have anything much to prove. And I think that relaxation will make a difference. It will be close. I think if any one of them gets to 10.8 or within 10.81 and 10.85, I think that's going to separate the next three places in the finals. After the top two.
Last one on this 200 meters, Leighton, because we have to ask. The woman who was on the poster with Shelley and Elaine, Abby Steiner, I nearly dropped off my chair at the interview at the end of the 200 meter semifinals when the interviewer confirmed with her that this was her 54th race of the season. Then good gosh, Leighton, if you are coming into the World Championship so heavily raced against the finest sprinters in history, because no woman alive or dead, well, we know who, but nobody else. I know we set that aside. That's an outlier. But nobody else travels the way that the women, the Fraser Prices, Toms the Heroes, and now Jacksons of this world are traveling. You come into a campaign so heavily raced, I don't know what the public should have expected to see based on that.
Yes, George. Abby Steiner, look, at the US trials, she would have had just about 49 races into the US trials, and she ran 21.8 in the semifinals in what was a stacked field, and then came back in the final with virtually no winner and 21.77. It's one of the reasons why I thought she held back a little bit in the semifinals, running 22.15 behind Shelley and Fraser's 21.82, because I think she wants to save one last blast for that final. She's incredibly strong. When you look at the fact that on the final day of the NCAA championships, she ran a 200 meter, 100 meter final, 200 meter final, a 4x1 and a 4x4, where she ran past the likes of Julian Alfred and split 48.7. I think this girl is an extraordinary talent, and I know there are a lot of people who scoff at her thinking that this is another NCAA champion coming through. This girl has proven herself over the last 2 years that she's a legitimate athlete. She's the second fastest all-time in indoors 200 behind Merle Naughty, 22.09. She's been doing all season long, and I think she has enough in it. Has enough left in those legs of hers to make one last big run and one last big push for a medal at the global level. And I think it's well within her to actually finish with the bronze medal. If she runs the race, we've been seeing her run all season. She's been incredibly fast. Early in the season, she ran 21.6. It was a 3-point-something win. But the fact is that she did the time, and she's been consistent over these last 3 or 4 months.
The only thing I'd say is, even with an analyst as sage as yourself and the few who are in your class, Leighton, the one thing that you guys can't factor is the effect of an athlete standing at a start line with athletes equally as good or who they think are better than them, and what that pressure does to their own performance. Because running against people you are sure you can beat is a different thing to lining up with the best there ever has been. And, we'll see, we'll test Miss Steiner's mettle not too long from now.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with you entirely, right? Because when you're lining up against people who are 2 to 3 tenths of a second faster than you, but remember, the 200 is not just about speed alone; it's about endurance as well. And one of the things that we know Abby Steiner has a lot of is endurance, speed endurance, and strength endurance. And while Shelley and Elaine and Dinasha Smith will most likely come off the curve, when they're beginning to fade, George, I believe that she has the strength and the power to walk them down. If they don't execute well, they could fall prey to her exceptional closing power. We've seen it throughout the course of the season. We saw it at the U.S. trials as well. The big question, though, is whether or not 55 races is one race too many for her, and that's the only concern I have. But otherwise, I think she's a legitimate threat for a medal at least in the 200-meter finals later tonight.
The men's equivalent, Leighton, the men's 200 meters.
That's going to be some race because Aaron Knight, I know, does not like Noah Lyles very much after the U.S. trial.
Neither Lyles Knighton.
Yep. So, we're looking at Kenny Bednarek as well, and of course we mentioned Jerry Richard. And I think those 4 are the 4 that will get the medals eventually. I think when you look at it, Knighton has a point to prove to himself, he believes. And I think he's going to go full tilt, and we probably will see a fast time if the conditions are right. But I think Noah Lyles' experience and his confidence could give him that edge over someone who has not been able to get onto that podium just yet in night. Because it's just, as talented as he is, if he comes under pressure from Van Bulle and from Bednarek and Jerry Richards, you don't know how he might respond under those circumstances just yet. We've seen him do it in the past, but this is going to be the biggest race of his career so far. He just turned 18 in January, but he's still very green. He still has milk at the corners of his mouth. Whether or not he'll be able to hold off that challenge and then remain composed. Because we saw in the U.S. trials, he was leading and was walked down by Noah Lyles 1967 to 1969. So will he learn from that experience about what to do or what not to do in that last 20 to 30 meters? I think tonight he gets a chance to prove that. But it's going to be a very interesting race because I think it's going to be very close for, say, 150. And then the true talents are going to then emerge over the last 50 meters and eventually end up on the podium. Who will that be? I think Lyles and I think Knighton will be there. I think it comes down to Bednarek and to Jerry Richards so he gets in. And probably Van Bulle as well. I think Jerry Richards is strong, very, very strong. And I think if he can maintain his composure, he can sneak in there and get on the podium and deny that the Liberian and the other American. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be just as intense as the women's race.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Lyles primarily because of his experience and the fact that he's extremely confident. One of the things that I know that revenge can actually work against you, where you try too hard too early and you tend to probably fall out of your race plan. Knighton could fall prey to that, and I think it just might cost him.
So I'm sure of 2 things, Brayton Leighton. Jerry Richards is going to get a medal, and Van Bulle is going to come 5th.
Well, that's not a bad call, George. No. That's not a bad call because
not at all.
In this race, this is not the Usain Bolt era anymore. There's no dominant athlete who you're sure to win. But I think Lyles is just a little bit better than the rest, and I think the battles for the next 2 medals are going to be between those 4 who remain off the top of the podium. And I think it's going to be an exciting race, a very interesting race. And I'm hoping Knighton gets there because I like him. I like everything about him. And I think he's coming with a little bit of blood in his eye. And I like that about track and field, that chip on your shoulder that will probably make a difference.
All right, the women's 400 meters now, Leighton, because guess what? Lance Whitaker says after the injuries disrupted her rhythm in the season, the Bahamian queen, Shawnee Miller-Uibo, looks just about right for this mission. But the Dominican Republic athlete, Paulinho, has been awesome for the longest while, and he sees it as a straight shootout between those 2. Talk to me about gold and silver in this women's 400 meters. And of course, when you're finished, talk to us about the Barbadian, Shanae Williams, and her prospects in the event. I
will, because I was listening to you guys on the first segment, and there are a lot of things that you said that I agreed with. Look, Shawnee had the injury that she had was early in the season, and I don't think what the issue was for her, that she was working on a new race plan. And so there were mistakes made and there were issues that she had to sort out. Based on what we've seen so far, she has a race plan ready. And the ease at which she ran that 49.55 season's best is 3.5 tenths faster than what we saw from Paulino. So I think it's going to go like this. Shawnee will win comfortably, Paulino will be comfortably second. And then there is a battle for third between Candice McLeod, who ran a season's best 50.05, and Cofield 50.12 or 51.14. Stephanie McPherson 50.56. Hopefully she will recover from that stomach issue that she had earlier. She had a day to recover, so maybe, some Pepto-Bismol. I don't know, I'm just kidding here. And of course, Saudi Williams, who I think, based on what I saw in her semifinal heat, is capable of sub 50. If she runs sub 50, she's on that podium. It depends, however, on what Candice McLeod brings to that final, because she's yet to break 50 seconds for the season, which for me is a little bit surprising. But 50.05 suggests that she's right there. So you could see the top four run under 50 seconds as well, but lose comfortably to Paulino and, of course, Shawnee Miller-Uibo. The third medal, though, comes down to who runs that fastest 49 split. I'm giving Candice McLeod the edge because that's who my pick was. But Saudi Williams is a legitimate contender for that medal as well.
And Leighton, we're going to move across now to the men's 400 meters. How does Kirani James' chances look?
I think he can win it.
Yeah?
And here's why I think he can win it. Michael Norman, over his career, since he left college in 2018, has fallen short of expectation at the Olympic Games, and he fell short at the World Championships in 2019 as well. What I saw in the semifinal looks like he's going to probably have an issue again, because Matthew Hudson-Smith put him under pressure early. And if you remember George Lance and Maria, he cracked for a little bit before he regained some composure and came down the stretch and won in 44.3. If Kirani James gets to the top of that curve before any of them, I believe that with his tremendous experience, and I feel he has a 43 in his legs that he's saving for the finals, I think he can probably hold on for a victory. The thing is, can he do it? Because Kirani, as I said before, my concerns with him is how much the grave disease is under control, and whether or not he clears at the wrong time and then he has issues. But he's looked pretty good through the rounds. But I'm going to go with the form like I've been throughout the season, and go with Michael Norman to finally and get his first major title. Because 43.56 and coming back from behind Matthew Hudson-Smith and running 44.3 suggests that he might be just ready. The fact that he was able to regain his composure after being pressured suggests that he might be ready. My only regret is that Stephen Gardner got here, because this would have been a shoo-in for him, winning with ease. But he's not here, so it's going to be a battle. I think it's between Matthew Hudson-Smith and Kirani James and Michael Norman for that top spot. And I think I'm going to go with the American. Reluctant to go with the American, with Kirani James getting the silver.
You know, Leighton, that we are out of time. And I'll say this to you before we leave, though, that I'd rather, as a betting man, lose my money betting on Kirani James to win than betting on Michael Norman to win, because Michael Norman has done it to us time after time after time.
Yep.
Nope. I'm not putting my money. I'd rather lose. I'd rather bet on Kirani and lose. If I bet on Michael and Norman and lose, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
Look, as I said before, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he might fold in this final. The thing is that when I saw him crack when Matthew Hudson-Smith pressured him about 250 coming around to the top of the curve, he was able to regain his composure and find back his race plan and eventually surge to the front. 44.3 suggests that if he just keeps his eyes in his own lane, he'll be able to run 43 in the final, especially with a day's rest. The thing is, will Kirani James go faster? I like Kirani to do so. Look, this is a kid who have a triple dance. We've seen him from character days when he was 15 running 45s and having everybody picking
We have
up
to
their
remember
jaws
to Leighton that he has a World Youth 200-meter gold medal as well in 2009.
Absolutely.
So he does have speed. Yeah.
Good speed, good strength, endurance, and most importantly, lads, experience.
Yes.
And I think that could make a difference there. But I'm still going to go My gut tells me that Norman is going to pull it off tonight, but Kirani will be strong second.
Well, those 400 finals are Friday night, actually. It's the 200s that are going to be run tonight. Yeah, so just to be clear.
But you have a day rest.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works. But I think I like Kirani for the podium, and I like Norman, as I said, reluctantly for the gold medal.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Leighton.
Anyway, anytime, guys, and I'm of course looking forward to that final tonight. I don't think I'll be able to sleep after it ends, because I think Sherika Jackson is going to break the national record of 21.53 and become the fastest Jamaican ever over the event, and the best combination sprinter currently active in the sport.
Wow.
1, 2, 4. All right.
I look forward to the article after. We'll talk again.
On SportsMax.tv.
Yes, Leighton Levy there.
That's right.
Our top writer at SportsMax.tv. We take a break.
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.